Hello there. You, here to read some books from the Mage's Tower? Well, I'm Tachikuma. I'm an Evoker graduate. Care to read some, arcane philosophy? Come on now, let's sit down here. Technically, we're not supposed to be here. The librarians have closed the facility. But pursuit of knowledge is pretty attractive. Let's see here. I'll go ahead and start with the school I graduated from. Evocation. Damn, this page crunchy. Old tomes, am I right? Anyways. It says here, the most recognizable of all wizard archetypes, the elementalist, the wielder of raw magical power in all its glory. Evokers specialize in raw damage and devastating area of effect spells. The best defense is a good offense, and these wizards have the greatest offense of all. The Archmage of Evocation at Aramore Academy says, "Some make the mistake of believing that evocation is easy. They believe that a spectacular display must mean a shallow foundation. All of us harness the energy of the world, to enchant, to divine, to conjure. But where others channel immense energy into small, specific, unnecessarily wasteful subtleties, we treat that power with the respect it deserves. There is an art to efficiently channeling of magic into its purest form. It is a challenge unlike any other. Evocation is simple. Never mistake it for easy, unless you wish to find yourself on the business end of an arcane hand." So what are the sub-schools of evocation? Well, let me tell you. First is force. Creating impenetrable, non-damaging barriers made of force. Things like wall of force, barrier, shield, which is borrowed from the School of Abjuration, all could be within an evoker's arsenal. Next is elemental energy, channeling various forms of energy into damaging attacks. We spend a lot of our curriculum studying elemental energy, learning spells such as Fireball, Wall of Water, Cone of Cold, Lightning Bolt. You know these spells. And finally, motion. It's a very unusual school, considered to be an elective for most evokers. It is an unusual school that contains spells involving transference and change, not just of energy, but of information, such as with things like the spell called Sending or Contingency. Overall, evocation spells are temporary and often violent, using magical energy in a more pure form than any other discipline. This energy can be literal elements, but it is always kinetic, always moving, and always pushing forward. I think the librarian is onto us. Let's move a little bit closer. Ah, here we are. The Tome of Arcane Battle. There's a passage in there. Really love it. Let me read it to you. First, fire, the spark of life. Then cold, the remains of death. Thunder and lightning from the skies above. Acid and poison from the ground below. Necrotic and radiant from the realms beyond. Force, the purest of them all. And psychic, that beyond understanding. The most common touchstone of evocation These spells channel the raw energy of creation to damage enemies and control the battlefield. Though these elements can be used for utility, such as elimination, they tend to be short-lived bursts, more adept at destruction than construction. A hallmark of evocation is the tendency toward motion. To evoke means literally to call forth, and this is exemplified by spells like Fireball and Wall of Force. But it is also seen in contingency, sending, and darkness, drawing forth the energy of spellcasting or information. Spells such as Wall of Water, Whirlwind, and Wall of Sand involve the motion of physical objects rather than the energy itself. In general, most evocation spells are temporary. The majority are instantaneous, while others require concentration to extend for a minute or longer. The energy of an evocation effect and the output is clearly more than the energy taken to cast a spell. Some say the spells draw from the caster's own life force, while others believe the energy is drawn from other planes of existence. Still others believe that the weave, we'll cover that later, itself is a constant source of energy, but not unlike the sun providing heat to the planet. If you made it this far into the Mage Tower, I'd have expected you to know what the weave is, but we will cover it. Your patch says you're a freshman, so I'll help you out with that. Pointers. Another popular theory is that magic is infinite, thereby allowing it to break the laws of thermodynamics without regarding any lasting consequences. Others, however, believe that there is only a finite amount of energy in the universe that will eventually run out. And in regards to safety, of course, as a school dedicated to damaging energy, a significant amount of evocation training is focused on safety and intentionality. For this reason, when handling evocation-based spells and items, there are several basic rules. There are 4 of them that you need to keep in mind, most likely going to be on the test. Number 1 is always treat it as if it's already going to explode. Always keep that item pointed in a safe direction. Keep your hands off said item unless you're ready to use it. Always be sure of your target and what is in front of and behind it. Now, for things like Fireball, evokers have a special course or ability taught to them called Spell Sculpt or Sculpt Spell. It is the ultimate example of the process of safety, as we evokers learn to warp our spell casting to shield our allies from harm. We want to make sure that our practices are safe and we don't hit our friends. Very important. In the ancient days, spellcasters believed that everything in the world came from the 4 elements: water, earth, fire, and air. This had some truth. Elemental planes do in fact freely mix with the prime material, giving rise to all physical matter. Elements, particularly creatures like the Jinn, Marid, Ifrit, and Tao, play important roles in mythology and beliefs of many cultures. Modern theory holds a broader view on the relationship between matter and energy. Held together by the theory of relativity, the belief is that matter and energy are interchangeable. In this way, magical energy just is matter itself. The evoker's overchannel ability, I'll cover that later, may be directly related to this phenomenon, using the caster's own physical form to fuel an evocation spell. Some evokers claim that conjuration is a subschool of evocation because all matter is energy. Conjurers fire back by pointing out that all energy is in fact matter. Depends on the school you go to. So what is the weave? Evokers seek to understand the underlying fuel beneath all magic. It's easy to grasp what fuel divines casters, the gods themselves, or what have you, but these gods must derive their magic and energy from something in the first place. Furthermore, arcane casters seem to bypass the need for a divine source entirely. We don't need a god to cast our magic like paladins and clerics, so where does it all come from? This gives forth the first principle, that which gives rise to all matter, energy, and magic. Had many names over the few years. Some called it the one above all, while others identify it with the elemental chaos. The most popular term in recent centuries has been the weave. The metaphor of strings and patterns is implicit in the name, but understanding of the weave is limited to the evidence gathered from the spells we know now. If the weave is immaterial, how can it affect material bodies? And if it's material, where is it? And how does it suffuse all the planes? Is it even just one first principle, or does it contain two or more parts, like positive energy or negative energy? These are the kinds of questions evokers seek to answer. Let me... Ooh, yeah, scoot closer. That librarian's right there. So I know you're a freshman, and maybe you've been studying magic before, but a freshman in the school of evocation. Some snobs consider it the easiest discipline. Evocation is one of the most marketable and in-demand skill sets for military and defensive groups. Evokers begin with the basic wizard curriculum, as I'm sure you've known, focusing on creating pockets of safety with the ability to sculpt spells. Once sculpting pockets have become second nature to you, the school will focus on mastery of the elements and intensifying the strength of which you command and channel the energy. The more efficient your channeling, the more damage your powers can do. That explains why they label us as having potent cantrips and empowered evocation spells. Finally, the one ability I had to learn to graduate is the ability to overchannel. It's considered illegal in some schools because of the dangers it possesses. The ability to overchannel is one of the most closely guarded and dangerous evocation secrets, not merely for its destructive potential on targets, but its enormous toll on casters. Your early classes in evocation stressed the cautionary tales of wizards who channeled too much energy in the service of high-level magic. Some spontaneously combusted from the sheer kinetic energy, while others aged rapidly and perished due to the spells drawing from their own life force. No matter the story, caution is key. Overchanneling is a last resort for desperate times. Remember what we said about those 4 rules. We gotta know the person in front and behind of our target, and we always need to make sure that our items and spells are to be treated with respect, because we are dealing with raw magical energy. And now I can see that your eyes are getting a little droopy. You've glazed over. Librarian is kind of just standing by the door, so we can't really sneak out. It's a good thing the evocation section of the library isn't very visited. We can probably sneak out with a nap here. So you lean on me, I'll lean on you, and let's take a quick nap. At least until, the abjurers come here. Because they really need these library books to study. So you go ahead, take a nap. I'll keep you safe. I'll sculpt my spells around you. When you wake up, maybe we can cover the other schools of magic. But until then, rest well.